Released into the arcades in 1986, this SNK shooter at first glance seems like nothing more than a Commando ripoff, but it does have quite a few play mechanics that stop it from being a pure clone. For a start, the control system uses a rotary joystick that allowed you to spin your character into any direction while walking in another. This made for some very frantic but fun gameplay. You can also take control of tanks dotted throughout the levels, giving you some meaty firepower. In the original Japanese version of Ikari Warriors, you take control of two mercenaries, named Colonel Ralph and Second Lieutenant Clark. Fans of SNK's King of Fighters series will recognize those names as characters that later appeared in multiple King of Fighters games. Just like its arcade big brother, this MS-DOS version is also hard as nails. However, I think some of the difficulty comes from the shoddy level design. You see, the arcade version is really tough, but you can escape from situations if you play strategically. In this DOS version, however, you're constantly being trapped by bullets with nowhere to run. This makes the game kind of annoying. It's a shame too, since the controls work fine and it even looks nice for an early DOS title. You know what? This Atari 2600 version is pretty good, considering how limited the hardware is. Sure, you can't fire in all the directions you wish you could, and yes, the enemy bullets travel too far, and yes, the bullets do blend in with the background. But what is here is actually fairly playable. I have to admit that I'm impressed. While the 7800 version is superior to the 2600 in pretty much every way, it's not as fun to play due to some stupid design choices. The most annoying of which is allowing the enemies to bombard you with grenades. The enemy even go as far as blowing up your tank before you even have the chance to get in the thing. Thankfully, Ikari Warriors appeared on the MSX2 rather than the standard MSX, meaning it scrolls rather smoothly, even with 2-player action as you can see in this footage. One feature I do like about this port is that the enemies stay on screen once you've killed them. It really lets you appreciate the body count, in a video game sense of course. Compared to the MSX2 port, this Famicom version is horrible. Developed by Micronix, this version is awfully sluggish to play, with weapons that hardly, if at all, powered up. This makes the game a real drag to play. The level design is also a joke. In some sections it's impossible to proceed without taking a hit. And if that wasn't bad enough, there are bombs always hidden in tunnels that you can't see or avoid, even if you could see them. Without a doubt, this is a poor port. Developed by Quicksilver like the rest of the Western ports, this Apple II version is very playable indeed. The controls are tight and the pace is fast, and the collision detection is perfect. The only problem is that the levels are severely cut down. But hey, at least you'll be able to complete it quicker. Unlike all the ports featured so far, this ZX Spectrum port allows you to lock your shooting direction at any point in the game by assigning a button on the keyboard to toggle. This allows you to have a free 8-way direction aim or a locked on direction. Surprisingly, this works well. On the downside, you've got to be sitting next to the keyboard, but it still works. It's just a shame the enemy projectiles are so small and hard to see at times. Just like the ZX Spectrum port, the Amiga also allows you to lock your shooting direction. Again, this works well enough. The actual speed at which the game runs is kinda sluggish compared to the specky version though. Still, a pretty good port overall. And as is tradition here on Battle of the Ports, we need to follow up the Amiga version with the SD port. No surprise that it's the exact same game as the Amiga version, but what is surprising is that the Atari ST version suffers from terrible slowdown. In areas where there's not much happening, this version is much smoother, but as soon as you get 4 or more enemies on the screen, the whole game grinds to a halt. Needless to say, this is very distracting and takes away a lot from the enjoyment factor. This Amstrad CPC port is basically the same as the ZX Spectrum version, but now in colour, and with a load of added slowdown. What's funny though, is it still runs faster than the ST version. This British port of Ikari Warriors for the Commodore 64 is actually very well done. There doesn't seem to be any weapon lock, but that's okay, since your character moves around at such a brisky pace, you'll have no problem taking out the enemies coming up from behind. Silky smooth scrolling, nice presentation, and great gameplay make this a winner. Oh my god, this American port of Ikari Warriors is a bloody disgrace. Horrible controls, crappy music, next to no enemies on screen, and severely cut down levels. Man, you sure would have been pissed receiving this version of Ikari Warriors when you knew there was a much better version out there. Long-time viewers of Battle of the Ports will know I have a soft spot for the Commodore Plus 4, as it was my very first computer. So it's nice to see it get a port of Ikari Warriors. While it's kinda limited, you can only shoot straight for one thing, it's not too bad once you become accustomed to its basic style. Yes, it's a pretty abysmal port, but I can't help but like it. At least a little. And let's take a look at all those versions of Ikari Warriors running side by side.